So, in honor of Dragon Ball Z Abridged ending, I decided to make this video because I definitely didn't write it 3 months ago and procrastinate it. Many of the best Abridged series are the ones that improve upon their source material. Many people have praised Sword Art Online Abridged for making an emotional narrative out of a moldy potato. And while I don't necessarily think it's a better show than the original, Joyride Entertainment's My Hero Academia Abridged took my understanding of that show and threw it out the window. But I want to talk about TeamFourStar and their phenomenal version of Cell, voiced by Takahata 101, seen here. More specifically, I want to talk about the hidden narrative he goes through within the show. Now, complex villains aren't exactly a hallmark of Dragon Ball. That doesn't mean their writing is bad. Many of the positive things I'm about to say apply to the original as well. TeamFourStar has decades of reflection on the source material, and they have a lot of the story already made for them. But regardless, we're talking about the Abridged and how they did things there.
No! None of that! Shame on you!
Now, there are two important things to know about Cell before we can dive into this. The first is Cell's personality and why it's the true sum of its parts. Cell is made of all the characters that we know and love, and each of them gives something to his personality. He has Goku's
phytosexual,
Piccolo's common sense, Vegeta's ego and hate boner for Tien, Frieza's sadistic side with a genetic predisposition to tormenting Vegeta, and of course Gohan's
explosive temper.
Notable also is how, with each android he absorbs, he gains some of their affection for Android 16.
So are we cool?
Because he was born of them, Cell feels a sense of familiarity with the cast. He knows them intimately, which is why he gets under their skin so easily. And the best part of this is probably his relationship with Yamcha.
And Yamcha, what a surprise! How's it going, man?
Good. I brought towels and water bottles.
It's also worth mentioning, he is the only villain who exclusively refers to them by name. Now, the second point is what Cell's goal is. Now, obviously Cell's goal is to become perfect and kill Goku, but that's just like a long weekend's worth of work, and beyond that, Cell has no real goal or purpose. His only real option beyond that would have been to become like Frieza, but the Goku parts of his personality conflict with that. All he could do was float aimlessly through space, and whether he was consciously aware of this or not, it affects his actions. Cell has a sense of meta-awareness to him. He knows Dragon Ball and all of its tropes. Mix this with Goku and a dash of Frieza, and you get his true desire, to become the greatest, most climactic villain ever. This is why he always tries to be in control and throws tantrums whenever he loses control. This is also why he's so dramatic and has the best villain lines.
And when you get to hell, tell them to make some room.
You're the first person to ask me who or what. Normally they just ask, why?
Trunks, you couldn't fathom the amount of dead men behind me.
Now that we have a better understanding of Cell, let's explore his story. Cell's story starts in a pretty rough place as he was born with two purposes: kill Goku and absorb the androids, all of whom were already dead. He just had to wander around aimlessly until Trunks' time machine gave him another chance. Cell's story is relatively simple now as his only focus is to become perfect. The closer he becomes to perfect, the more personality he gains from the Z-Fighters. Finally, Cell becomes perfect, and to celebrate, he sings a little song. Cell immediately shrugs off Vegeta for better things, even though he only has like 8 things to do before he runs out of purpose. Frankly, I think he's just razzing Vegeta here, as is his nature. When Vegeta breaks out his final flash, Cell is shocked by his power, if only for a minute, because the Vegeta in him gives him an uncontrollable urge to underestimate his opponents. Cell never loses control, however. When Trunks steps up to the plate, Cell uses his knowledge of him and Gohan, the one-armed one, to taunt him and screw with him, probably as payback for the Trunks of his time killing the androids. Trunks makes Cell realize that now that he's achieved perfection, he needs a new hook.
The Cell Games! Presented by Heatam.
While building the ring, we see Cell's need for perfection as he refuses to leave one piece out of place, the same energy he brings to all aspects of his life. In his pursuit of perfect villainy, Cell uses his flair for the dramatic to establish himself as the grandest threat the Earth has ever seen. The news eats this up and validates his ego.
Oh, you're a villain, all right. Just not a super one.
Yeah? What's the difference?
Presentation!
Finally, Cell and Goku meet properly, and their mutual fight boners begin throbbing at each other. Cell shows off the depth of his familiarity with the story as he recites the entire plot of Dragon Ball to a reporter, just to kill time. Cell writes off Mr. Satan since he has no place in his narrative, can't hold up in a fight, and generally just annoys him. Cell and Goku finally start fighting, and their fight fulfills them both, giving Cell the most satisfaction he's ever felt. When for an instant Cell believes he's won, he has a moment where he doesn't quite know what to feel, but has no time to process it. Tension builds over the course of the fight, and Cell eventually proclaims his undying fight love for Goku. To him it can only be Goku. Goku is his purpose in life, and it's always been Goku in the past, so it must be Goku now. When it seems Goku is willing to destroy the planet to kill Cell, Cell finally lets slip his true endgame. Cell must die for his story to end. But again, Goku cuts that thought short. Cell becomes angry at the instant transmission because he doesn't understand it and therefore he can't control it. Cell shows off his sense of self-awareness
And I'm a monster.
and his insecurity.
I didn't ask to be born, dads!
But when Goku gives up, he tears Cell away from everything he wants, blue-balling his fight boner. In Cell's eyes, Goku killing him is the only way this can end, and without it, he's just stuck in a pointless reality. Cell agrees to fight Gohan, but he's just going through the motions until Goku's back. The writing here takes advantage of how Gohan really comes out of nowhere to become the new protagonist, so he must prove his worth not only to the audience, but to Cell. When Gohan offers up the temptation of him losing control of his anger and killing Cell, he gains some new interest in the fight. Not enough to replace Goku, but enough to entertain him until Goku returns. When 16 tries to self-destruct, Cell goes along with it, even though he could easily break out of his grasp, because in Cell's eyes, he'll either survive the explosion or die a climactic death. After he gives birth, he throws around the idea of keeping the Cell Juniors as company and perhaps conquering Namek, but he's not that heavily invested in either idea. As Gohan becomes more desperate, and in Cell's eyes, pathetic, Cell begins to hate him more and more. All Cell wants is a climactic fight, and Gohan won't give it to him. When Gohan is finally set off, Cell doesn't understand why it happened, so even though he was trying to make this happen, his shock at it is genuine. He thought it was just killing 16 that set him off, but it was more about the lesson 16 passed on to him. Cell underestimates Gohan, assuming at first that he'll still beat him and move on. However, when Gohan whips out some good old-fashioned filicide, Cell realizes just what Gohan is, and literally sings,
Suddenly, life has a new meaning to me.
When the Cell Juniors start dropping like flies, Cell shows how little investment he really had in them. Cell brings back the same sentiment he originally gave Goku, but Gohan is not Goku. If Goku and Cell are phytosexual, then Gohan's phytophobic.
I hate this.
He begins to dismantle Cell with no respect or reverence. So Cell gives Gohan an ultimatum. Instead of getting curb stomped, he'll lock Gohan into a choice. Either everyone dies or he kills Cell. Drawing back to the spectacle of Goku versus Vegeta.
You missed the spot!
Is sarcastic, but can be read as, "You should have just finished me." When Gohan calls Cell boring, it's the last straw and Cell loses his cool. Just when things couldn't seem worse for him, he loses his perfect form. Gohan has now taken everything from him. His climactic showdown, his perfection, his sense of control. So Cell basically says since he can't have it his way, he'll ruin it for everyone. He's taking his ball and going to hell. His ball being the Earth. It seems like it's over, but it's not. So guess who's back? With his second chance, Cell starts fresh with his song again, and immediately raises the stakes by killing Ten Shinhan. Or Trunks. Trunks will do fine. With his new strength and second chance, he's sassier and even more chipper than ever. Cell's not taking any chances this time, though. He's trying his Kamehameha ultimatum once more. Returning, Cell thinks aloud more than before, thinking about what he'll do when he kills Gohan.
I'm thinking craft brewing. One last stand against me. A climactic showdown.
He's just spelling out everything I've been saying about him.
A perfect death!
And then, death finally arrives. Cell's story ends. Things didn't always go according to his plan. It took a lot of improvising, but in the end, Cell has no regrets. He was their greatest villain, and he did things.
Hey, thanks for watching. This is something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and it feels nice to finally get it out there. I know the voiceover isn't great quality, but it's something I really want to get better at. This video is just something I wanted to make as a fan of TeamFourStar. I fully support their decision to end the series. I think it's the smart thing to do for them. And I'm recording this end card the day after episode 2 of Unabridged went up, and I'm really enjoying that. Ultimately, I'm just someone who really enjoys abridging, and I wanted to celebrate it. Thanks for watching.